Hi everybody, Martyn Flicking Feathers again today, and I'm tying a lime-tailed Loch Ordie, great loch fly, nice wee variation on the classic. This kind of pattern's quite popular up in the islands and all that, but it does travel very well. As always, I'll put a materials list in the description, along with a link to the Patreon page for anyone that wants to support the channel, which will get you access to the Zoom meetings that we're having monthly, tie-in sessions, as well as being entered into the giveaways. So I've got my hook and my vise. It's a size 10 B175, and I've just run on a bed of uni fire orange and 8O, and I'm going to get some Chartreuse holographic tinsel. I'll catch it in at the bend, and I'm just going to come back right around so that I've got a space for a tag. You often see these being tied without a tag, just the tail, that's fine, but I quite like that wee bit of flash that you get. So I'm just going to take my, a bit much, just touch that, take away any excess, and I'll just come up, slightly overlapping turns. Hold that, nice wee shiny tag. Now you can varnish your tags if you want to make them a bit tougher, but the super glue is actually very strong. I don't really think you need to worry too much. Tail is a mix here of Globrite 11 and 12, just 50-50. There's 8 strands of each on this. Just tidying that up. Tail length, say a bit of shank, something like that. Doesn't need to be very big. And then the body's just going to be hackles. It's quite a kind of boring fly to tie really, this, but they work very well. Even just the ordinary one, the plain version, but some days you want a wee bit of bright attractor. So I'm going to get my first hackle, and this, they're going to get longer as I go forward, right? So these first couple are going to be the shortest, and I've left just a wee spot of the red thread showing, or the orange thread showing. And I'm just going to wind this hackle across it, catch it off. And the reason for the shorter hackle is just so that you don't obscure the tag really too much. You know, I want it to be fairly prominent for fishes coming up from behind and below. That should be what it sees. Put another one in about the same length maybe, and I'm making sure I've got all the fluff sort of stripped first. It just makes life easier when you're winding these. And I would say probably probably need 4 of these, I would imagine. This is just from an Indian hen saddle. These hackles, I mean, you can use neck if you want. I just like the colour that I've got in this hen saddle, and the feathers are a wee bit shorter. You know, you get fewer wraps out an individual feather, but I can live with that. So I'm just going through. I've already selected a few hackles. I'm just making sure I'm tying them in the kind of right order. I'm going to get a wee bit longer now. Just noticed a few broken fibres in that feather, so I'm not going to use it. I mean, you wouldn't see it, but I don't like it. So I'm just looking for another one that's about the same size as that was. That'll do. Well, I'm really sort of starting to struggle on this cape. Or saddle I should say. I've been battering it. I've tied a lot of flies with it. In this size range, I've got a lot of smaller feathers. That'll do. That's nice and clean. But as I say, they're quite short, so you need to tie more of them in, which takes longer. But they're nice, sort of dense, thick in the fibre. And I always sort of think as well, there's no a rib, there's nothing protecting this, just the mass of hackle is sort of your only protection from a tooth, a fish's tooth. And I sort of think if one of them goes, well, you've still got quite a fishable fly. You know, you can, it's still going to do what you want it to do. Whereas if you used, like say, a genetic even, you might only use two feathers to get up. And if one of them goes, that's it, it's knackered really, in my opinion. We're getting there now. Progressively longer. I'm just doubling the hackle as I wind it. Making sure that there's no any fibres getting pushed forward. As always, fold that stem back. I'm going to have one more ginger. And then I'll go onto the white for the head. And this is the longest ginger hackle. I'll probably not use all of this one. That'll do. Come across, fold it back. Now the head hackle, I'm using a genetic. largely because of the colour really. I want this white. This is a white, but the problem is with the genetics, right? A lot of them, I mean, a 4B might be alright, they're a bit bigger, but a lot of the genetic hen capes, these feathers are too small. So I'm actually coming right up the top back end to get a feather that's big enough. And I'm going to actually tie it in at the bottom end. Just to make sure I get the long fibres in there. So I'm tying it in, folding it back. And I mean, it's a long enough feather I can get away with that. So I'll just take this, same again, I'm just folding it before each wrap. I'm going to build that white collar, and I think you want a fair length of white, or a fair amount of white. I like it to be the longest hackle, and I also like several wraps. I think you know, depending on the light conditions, different parts of the fly are more visible to the fish, you know. If it's very bright, obviously the white's less visible, and it's more the sort of dark colour, but you've got that contrast which helps when we see it. And in lower light conditions, obviously the tag and the white collar sort of stand out. And there you go, you've got a nice bushy, water pushing top dropper, but it's also full of movement. It's got to build a nice head, and you can, if you want to, you can put quite a big head on it as a hitting spot, but I think that's enough there for me. So I'll just come in, whip finish, and again. I mean, I know one's enough, but it doesn't do you any harm to put two in. Just remember that it will add to the size of your head. Put that away. And then we'll come in with a wee bit varnish. Give the head a couple of coats. And there you go, the lime-tailed Loch Ordie. As I say, good top dropper, especially up in the islands and all that. Popular Shetland and what have you, Orkney. But certainly anywhere there's wild brown trout in the lochs, this is worth having. So, I hope it was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up below and subscribe to the channel. Take lines, guys. Bye.